Moving over into a segment we like to call What's Up, Doc, where we spend some time with the experts on health at Mercy Health. And this morning is absolutely no exception, as I don't believe we've ever talked to anyone who went, no, I don't know anything about medicine. Don't know how I got on here. I just cleaned up the parking lot. They needed someone to fulfill the interview. No, we never have any of those things.
Maybe next month.
We're not going to do it this morning either. Dr. Matthew Smetana is with us. Dr. Smetana, good morning to you.
Hey, good morning. Thanks for having me.
Oh, we're glad to have you. Tell us a little bit about you.
Yeah, my name's Matt Smetana. I'm an emergency physician here at Mercy. I'm also the EMS medical director and one of our MD1 physicians.
We've had good interviews with some of the emergency personnel over there. Looking forward to getting into that. But first, you from the area? How you grow up here? How'd you end up here in Rockford?
Yeah, actually, born and raised in Rockford. By some unusual circumstances, found myself back in here, kind of the right job at the right time, and happy to be back. Now, my family and I are from here, and happy to be back in the area.
So we usually ask where you matriculated from college, but since you are a Rockford person, what high school did you go to out here?
I went to Boylan.
Okay. All right, we won't hold it against you. It's fine. he went to Boylan. He's used to it.
I'm sure he is.
There you go.
But, you Harlem guys have to make sure you get that worked in there, though,
yes,
during the interview.
Every time. That's good. And then after Boylan, where do we go to college?
So I went down to Peoria, went to Bradley University for college, did my med school out in Missouri, and then went back to Peoria for my emergency medicine training.
Outstanding.
That is outstanding. When you were naming the things that you do here, it dovetails very nicely. I'm over at Mercy Health's website looking at some stuff on you. It says additional areas of special interest include pre-hospital care, point-of-care ultrasound, disaster medicine, medical education, critical care transport, quality improvement, public health. What, you can't get a few more on that list?
I try to keep myself busy and wear a few hats. You were talking about some of the things. Hey, sometimes I do clean the parking lots and do some other things. So I try to wear a lot of hats.
Just when you're bored.
He's a guy with some energy, and they're going to put that to good use at Mercy Health.
Well, a lot of the things that you listed there, I understood and have heard of before. DM1, something I've not.
MD1.
I'm sorry, that's how much I haven't heard of it. MD1. What do those stand for? What are you doing with that?
Yeah, so MD1 is our field physician response program. So essentially what we do is we send emergency docs out in the field with our local fire departments, ambulance, the police. We try to provide physician-level oversight and field support to patients in their most critical time before they get to the hospital.
That seems like I know it's simple to say this, but this seems like a really great idea. And looking at it, go, well, haven't we always done that? No, we haven't, have we?
Yeah, it's pretty rare. We see similar programs on some of the coast, some of the larger cities, but this is kind of unique to our area. We carry it's a Suburban or a Chevy Tahoe 4-wheel drive vehicle, and it's equipped with lights, sirens, radios, and then pretty much anything that I would need in an emergency department. I also have in that truck, with the goal of being able to treat and stabilize patients before they even get to the hospital.
Is this working on your own per se, or in conjunction with responding paramedics?
Yeah, that's a good question. So we're not an ambulance. We cannot, we don't have somebody in the back and take them to the hospital. So we work with our EMS colleagues, and it's not just about the response. Our goal is to try to elevate every single call that we're on. We do a lot of teaching, a lot of education, a lot of debrief, and our goal is to make the entire emergency medical system better. If a paramedic or an EMT, they kind of see how the physician handles a case in the field. The next time they have the more training, the more education, the confidence to handle it as well. So that's kind of some of our goals.
So what's the mechanics to get you to the site? When we think of, firemen and, police officers, they're always ready to go, Are you sitting at your home base, or at Javon Bay or whatever? Are you sitting there ready for the bat phone to ring? How do you get to your car and know where to go?
Yeah, good question. So we have a dispatch center. Sometimes we're listening to the radios and, hey, that one sounds like it could help. But a lot of times the ambulance, the fire departments, the police get on scene and say, hey, this looks pretty bad. Let me call the doc. And this might be I might be at church, at the grocery store, at the bank. It might be 2 o'clock in the morning, and it gets me out of bed. And then we travel to the scene, meet the first responders there on scene, and then transport them to the closest appropriate hospital. What we've seen is, you can build the best trauma center, stroke center, cardiac cath lab, but sometimes that care that's provided in the first 10, 20, 30 minutes of a patient's illness or injury, if they don't make it to the hospital, nothing else matters. So, we try to, it might be 2 o'clock in the morning, it might be 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and we're ready to go.
Yeah, this is wild. I popped over to a website that explains a little bit more about MD1. It's md1program.org. And some of the examples that they give, 44-year-old firefighter suffered cardiac arrest. Paramedics shocked the firefighter's heart 10 times. An MD1 doc on the scene performed a recently developed double shock procedure which saved his life. Today, the firefighter's back with his wife and children. He would have died without the presence of MD1. 17-year-old boy trapped in a car, collapsed lung. MD1 doc responded, placed a large tube in the boy's chest, drained blood until firefighters were able to remove him. After an hour, the boy would have died without MD1 response. So these are all real world. These sorts of things happen, and really illustrates the importance of something I think a lot of people, maybe for the first time this morning, are hearing about.
It's definitely not the most well-known. We've been in existence here since I think about... The program started in Wisconsin and then moved into Illinois. We don't do a lot of advertising, but if you ask any of the local first responders, they've probably worked with us in the field at some point. Yeah, most of the time we're going out, it's critical calls, but we also go out on routine calls, is kind of making sure the system is working appropriately, doing some quality assurance, some feedback, and education as well.
You said that a lot of times when the paramedics get to the scene, they see they might need more help, and that's when they make the call to you. Are there, I guess, two things. Are there any scenarios where it's default that you're going to get called to come out? And if somebody calling 911 knows that this is going to be bad, is them saying, hey, an MD1 coming out might be a good idea? Do you guys take any of that into thought in coming out?
Yeah, so we do respond by request before the scene, especially with some of our local police departments. If they know they're going out to a bad scene, even before they get there, they'll call us. Also, some of the local first responders, if they think, hey, this sounds really bad, or if they, for example, a motor vehicle accident, from the sound of the dispatch, and sometimes even the dispatch will prompt the fire department, hey, based on what I'm hearing, getting from the 911 calls, would you like me to start MD1 that direction? And sometimes we're even notified before somebody gets on scene.
And this is something that is looked at and monitored 24/7, right?
Yep. So like I said, it could be 2 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I take the truck with me to get groceries and go to the bank and do my errands as well. And the docs are ready to respond all the time.
So yeah, you being ready all the time, 2 a.m., going to church, going to the grocery store. Are you the only one, or is there a handful of you?
No, I absolutely could not do this by myself. Right now we have 6 docs that take the truck home with them on call. All of the docs have experience. Before they were a doc, they were a firefighter or a paramedic. I started my career out as a firefighter EMT. Really fell in love with it and said, hey, can I make this my career? Can I do something else with this? So all the docs have that pre-hospital mindset. They have that additional training in addition to, being a board-certified emergency physician. Most of us still maintain our paramedic certifications, our firefighter certifications, because I think being, one makes you better at being the other. So being a good physician makes me good in the field, and having that experience as a firefighter helps me understand a little bit more about what's going on in the field.
Yeah, knowing exactly what's going on around you and why it's going around you. You had mentioned started in Wisconsin, worked toward Illinois. How many other states are doing MD1?
That's a good question. I think it's pretty prevalent on some of the coasts. I think it's some of the larger cities has some. There's some similar programs in Illinois and Chicago, Peoria, Champaign. This is a kind of a European model. Most of the European countries, they do send physicians out into the field, where this is kind of not the norm here in America.
And how often are you guys dispatched? Is this a once a day, once a week? 9 times a day? What's the schedule like?
Yeah, it's a good question. So we always have, in addition to our responsibilities of responding to call, which probably happens a few times per day, we're also doing things like protocol development, looking at the latest and greatest science, working on the medicine that's related to that, but also the training and the education. Most of my time, either in the day or in the evening time, is going out to these fire departments, going out to these ambulance services and doing the quality assurance, the training, the feedback, really trying to educate our pre-hospital colleagues on what to do. With it being a one vehicle within Rockford, we can't be everywhere. We know that we're not going to be able to be at every scene, but if we can take that knowledge and training that we have, pass it along to our colleagues in the field, hopefully next time, even if we're not there, it's going to make that patient's care better.
That's outstanding. The whole program is outstanding, and I love learning about it for the first time. Sitting here this morning talking to you about it, Matt. What haven't we asked you about this program, or any part of it that you want people to know?
No, I just want to. It's a service that we're providing. Mercy Health is providing to the community, and our goal is to make pre-hospital care, emergency care better. So when you or your loved one needs to call 911. You have the best trained, best equipped crews to respond to your emergency.
Well, your enthusiasm for it is infectious. I want to read more and learn more about it. Matt, we know you're a very busy guy. Thanks for taking time out of your day to come on and enlighten us this morning.
No, thank you very much.
We appreciate it. That's Dr. Matthew Smetana with the MD1 program with Mercy Health.
Pretty good.
Really, really interesting thing.
Pretty good for a boiling guy.
I was waiting for that.